Starting in 3, 2, 1. And once again, welcome to another episode of That Karate Podcast. I'm Liam Gallagher.
I'm Sean McLaren.
No, I'm John Clark.
It's good to see you, lads. How you doing? How are we?
Very well, thank you. Just back from a nice week up in the Highlands, up in the sky. So yeah, good.
Nice. What have you been up to, John? Which one?
Me, teaching and sorry, the camera went blurry. So just busy teaching and keeping busy. Prepping the club for that. We've got awards night next month, and kind of lead up to Christmas belt test. We've got Halloween week this week, so kids can come to class dressed up this week. So just getting sweeties and stuff in for that and prepped for that.
Are you getting dressed up, Sean?
Cobra Kai.
Are you getting dressed up?
I was going to wear, what do you call it?
You mean
Let's Go Fang t-shirt?
You mean that?
Yes, I'm dressed as a Cobra Kai this week. I may get another one, so I don't need to wear it all week because it's a little bit chilly because it's like a vest, So
you're gonna focus.
It just seemed to come out of focus. Sorry, guys. Maybe it's now, Liam. You been up to much?
No, nothing at all, mate. Just me, usual quiet life. Nothing going on.
Yeah.
The usual. The usual dull, relaxing, chilled life that I lead. Just been mental, mate. Just busy at the club. Stuff going on all over the place. Just constant, just non-stop. In fact, my phone just started ringing. That's my website calling me to tell me there's another person coming at the club. So there we go. So it just as well that's what it's been like the last couple of weeks. It's a great complaint to have.
You should answer it. But live.
It's an automatic thing. I have to phone the person back. I press a wee button and it phones them back.
No.
But I'm not phoning you back at 8:15 on a Sunday night.
A live inquiry response.
Well, hello. Then I've got my posh phone voice goes on and you'll just roll a bit laughing.
Is that when you can
help you? That sounds really nice.
That's for the south side then.
Yeah. Aye. So So kind of today, guys, we're going to talk about a few things. We'll get a general quick catch up. Explain why we've spent a few weeks for a podcast. Explain what's going to happen in the next few podcasts. John is in talks of opening up a new dojo in Skye. No, and we're going to kind of touch on returning to competition. And we've got the topic for today, which we'll come on to just after we get a wee quick chat up. So, obviously, Liam, you kind of been busy with prepping for things and anything special occasions coming up soon?
Yes.
Please tell us, what special occasion is this happening, Liam?
I'm getting married on Friday. The poor woman is...
Round of applause for Liam. Round of applause for Liam.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. I'm
it's
wearing
a medal she deserves.
And I'm wearing my gi.
No,
I'm going to wear my arrow as a gi. We're getting married on Friday. So it's kind of a low-key thing. It's kind of a low-key thing. We're not going crazy. So, there's still things to get sorted and planned for. So, we'll be prepping for that on top of everything else. So, I'm quite excited. Yeah, we've known each other since high school. We've been together like 9 years now. So,
it's about time.
It's maybe about time. We actually know people that have got together, married, had children, divorced, and new relationships, and we've still been soft out is what I'm saying.
I'm 22 years in come in November, so if you need any advice, don't come to me.
I'm not coming to you. I've got your wife.
What? 22 years, man, that's crazy, yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's 10 years. 10 years this year. Me and Ashley have been together, and 4 years married this month.
When I was 25, 26 years together, because I was working the doors at Roscoe's when I met her.
God almighty. Sorry, alternative Glasgow podcast, we do that in Roscoe's. I remember Roscoe's at Shawlands.
I'm sure that was a club that was about before I was even born.
I shut in 99. I shut in 2001 or something, brother bits.
He's not that young. At least it's 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've got that going on. What about you guys? You got anything exciting coming up? Anything interesting?
John, just go.
No, I said I've been up in Skye for the last week visiting the family. So a brilliant space that I could open a dojo up. The only problem is
do it.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture. It looks over Loch Dunvegan. It's an absolutely phenomenal location. The only problem is there's no population. every karate club that's opened up in Skye has failed within about 3 months of opening up.
Plus, you don't
karate club with no students. Is that a bonus or is that a negative?
Is that not the fisherman kata? Can you not do it in the lock anyway?
I could. Brutal for him.
We went there.
He went there. And funny enough, did you not see the picture I put up for Cam's benefit? I was up in the house at Uig Harbour doing Sanchin.
Yeah.
Because Cam's always doing Sanchin wherever he is.
Everywhere. Like our friend Cam in Hong Kong, who I'm actually, he keeps busting my jobs because every time I go to Japan, I never go via Hong Kong. So he's getting really annoyed now. So I'm going to go see him next time. My friend Cam teaches.
I think
we're literally on a rooftop in Hong Kong. It's a cool dude.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
He's a cool
dude. Yourself, Sean?
Yeah, just busy with the club. To be fair, as I said, it's a good complaint to have. It's just I don't know where they're coming in. I don't know where they're coming from, and I don't know why they're coming in and staying, but they're coming in. So no, I'm joking. Yeah, it's all good. As I said, we're just kind of prepping. We've got Halloween this week, awards night next month, and then grade in December. So kind of big event every month. Plus, our club has been very gracefully awarded, shortlisted, should I say, for the awards by Sports Council for Glasgow. So senior coach of the year. I'm now at the stage where it's senior.
Senior coach, it hurts, doesn't it? It hurts deep inside when you suddenly, a student or athlete or
your senior coach.
It's senior, it's Old Fart of the Year award.
Yeah. So we've got that awards night next month as well, and the Glasgow Times as well, as we've been shortlisted for Club of the Year and Coach of the Year for Glasgow Times. So can't complain. That's a voting
category?
One. Yes.
What's the category you're in?
So the category is Club of the Year, and then the Coach of the Year is the coach.
That Evening Times as well.
So that's a Glasgow Times one. So I've got Sports Council for Glasgow, which have been voted Senior Coach of the Year. So that's separate, and that's getting done on the night. So there's an actual awards night for that. And then the Glasgow Times one is just something that's getting done online. And
is the Glasgow Times what used to be the Evening Times?
I think it's all the same company, like the Herald, the Glasgow Times, the Evening Times. It's like kind of Herald events or something that's running it. So that's an online thing. So yeah, it's all good. As I said, I
always find award things quite awkward. And we've been kind of awarded stuff as well, and it's great, but it's really awkward.
It's been, I think it's a crappy thing. Well, it's a karate thing, I think. When the Glasgow Times one says you need to get people to vote for you, and I'm like, oh, come on. Can you please vote for us? I hate that. You have to do it, obviously, but it's just, it kind of almost feels less humble, doesn't it?
I always find it quite hysterical with, I shouldn't say this, with certain clubs that they go, we didn't know there's an article in the paper this week. Like the local paper is sending out a reporter to your club. We know what happens. What you do is you write up what happened. You send them a photograph. You map it out. If they have space that week with the football's not taking over everything, they put you in. And I always find it quite. I'm not good at that. We don't do that, right? It's just something I think we've done it 3 times in 10 years. I'm just crap at it. But I find it quite funny. Some people posted on Facebook and they're going, we look amazing. We're in the newspaper. Like, piss off.
To be fair, that's how my writing career started off with Martial Arts Illustrated, like sending stuff to the newspapers. And then
that's fine. But you didn't go, oh, how did that happen? You did it because that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I just found I saw a couple of the last few weeks and I've been killing myself laughing at it. I don't know how that happened. Well, I know how that happened because you wrote it up. You sent him an email along with a couple of pictures.
Oh, it was me. Oh no, look, we've been awarded, shortlisted. Oh no.
No, I didn't know that, mate. But you're quite right to put that out, mate. You're quite right to put that out. That's a different thing. No, I just find it quite funny, that kind of thing. But we're not good at that kind of stuff. I know I should be, but we're just not good at that kind of stuff. But it's great you're getting the award, mate, as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope you win it. And if you don't, we'll mock you mercilessly.
I don't think I will, especially the Coach of the Year. No, we did, as to be fair, obviously with yourself, Liam, as well, in our clubs, we did kind of put together some really good events, and we've done fundraisers and stuff and raised money for Cash for Kids, and I think one of the charities down in Ayrshire as well.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with Ayrshire Hospice.
So we did raise some money during lockdown. We've done a walking challenge, we've done fortnight challenges, bingo days and stuff. And yes, but the other people in the category, I think, in my opinion, deserve it more. You know, men's Matter Scotland, I think, is one of them as well. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that, I think so. I'll take Club of the Year though. Thanks.
I sat at one a few years back, and we're sitting, and it was quite funny. But it was fun. I was called up as the club was called up, not me. I was representing the club. The club was called up as a kind of runner up, and it was like, we were sitting there, and it was the local swim, and the local swim group down in South Ayrshire is amazing, right? These guys are fantastic, and they're working with people of different abilities down there, which is fantastic. And they set up this swim team, and you can see them because you can see all the coaches, all the different clubs, and also in the running is, I can't remember the name of the swim team. I explained the swim team, and they work with children from all these different abilities, and they medal here, the medal there, and we're like, I don't win it. If I win that, I'm giving it back. I'm going to actually hand the award across. If they actually go, and Karate Club wins it, and you go, no, I can't possibly take that. That's not right. And of course, they won it quite deservedly. So,
good.
It's quite fun. It's just, you can see us sitting there going, no, we're not winning that. All right. It was nice to get a cup of tea and a sandwich, but we're not winning that.
I know. If we get a babysitter and everything for the night, it's going to be great.
It's important that martial arts gets pushed into these things, though. The important that karate is seen in the same light. Yeah. I think it's better even now than it was maybe 10 years ago. Is that you're hearing about clubs and coaches of what we do start to win and going into these kind of awards, and I think it's great in that we're starting to become more mainstream and less niche.
Yeah,
and start to get, and that's been. I know you work with active schools as well. The big battle in active schools is not to be seen as this niche sport and pastime.
Yeah,
and this crazy guys in pajamas, the Matelli, where it's very difficult to try and educate and be seen and taken seriously within that kind of framework. So yeah, people like yourself getting awarded or getting shortlisted for these kind of awards is really important for us all. So
no, I agree
for you. Unless I'm up against you, in which case, up yours, back.
You'll win it because you're of that age, It's just they might need to give you one.
I'm a senior coach.
As a master's coach.
I'm a senior citizen coach. I'm a master. Shut up.
Seafood Grandmaster.
Shut up. Don't start.
Oh, man. I feel as if we went a bit off topic there.
That's just us, isn't it? Anyway. Expecting anything else, viewers and listeners, you've obviously not been paying attention.
Yeah, this is us in real life.
This is just meander.
Anyway, so what I think, John, you want to kind of lead on to your kind of question?
Yeah.
Ask us.
Yeah. Before I move on to the next topic, you may notice that behind Liam and behind Sean, there's a lovely Karate Podcast logo thing. I've been ridiculed because I'm being a tight back-sided Scotsman who is refusing to pay out for the professional version of Zoom so I can load up a background. I'm thinking about it.
He's a cheap bastard.
Damn.
He doesn't love you. He doesn't love you as much as Sean and I do. All right. We do this for you.
I share my
viewing pleasure.
You're full of it.
Do you? And we offer a professional vision.
Really? Professional with the word you chose there.
I don't know what else to use. I don't try to think of something else to put in. John, however, is tight.
Highland heritage, mate.
I like the fridge magnets, John.
I think they're awesome. I mean, they're everywhere. I've got them from Oban right all the way to California. So I'm quite happy with my collection, and I just want to share it with the viewers. Exactly. The listeners on Amazon Music and
Podbean. Listeners don't care. The viewers are being robbed.
Anyway, I had we've been off. No, we've had the holidays. We've had the wedding planning. There's also been some competitions going on, or a big competition going on down the Midlands as well. I believe that you chaps are attending.
Yes, we attended. Yeah.
How did you get on? 2 weekends ago.
Uh-huh.
That's your age catching up here.
I can't remember.
That's definitely your age catching up here.
I was literally saying to Ashley how quick this month and this year's went by. To be honest, it's next Sunday's end of the month already. So yeah. We had a competition in Worcester. Very well attended. I think there was 1,400 competitors. Is that right, Liam?
I think it was entries. I think it was like 1,200.
1,400 entries. But yeah, so it was a busy comp.
How did it go? Kata wise, Kumite wise, instructor wise, coaching wise, athlete wise?
When you go.
Why do you come to me? Why?
I'll go. Fine, I'll go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, to be fair, we drove down the day before. It's from Glasgow anyway. It's like a 5.5 hour drive. So we drove down the night before, stayed the night before, a lovely Premier Inn. And then competition on the Sunday, went there for 8:10. Got left the venue at 9:45 at night. So it was a lot. It was a long day.
In fairness, I left earlier. However, didn't go home till 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah, he was driving up that day. I stayed
and included a police stop. We'll talk about the police stop later.
Yeah, no, I think, as I said, there was all the top karate guys you can name were there. You know, the Joe Kellyways, they were competing. A couple of the guys that attended Olympic qualifications and stuff, both in kata and kumite, were there. The senior kata section was huge, both in male and female. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a senior kata section that big, to be honest. Senior kumite section.
You won, Sean?
Me, I won all styles. No, I was only coaching that day, unfortunately. I never competed. I didn't want to hurt anybody's foot off my head. So, yeah, so it was a busy day, and even the senior male committee there was about, between the three weights, there's under 67, under 75 and plus 75, must have been nearly 100 competitors, and that's just the senior male committee alone. So it was a very, very busy and well attended comp. I think they had 6 mats running, Liam? Is that right? 6?
Yes.
They had 8 mats up, but I think they were a bit short on referees, so they only had 6.
A bit short.
Just a little bit short on referees. Our guys done all right. I think we came away with.
I thought the karate on the mats was brilliant.
Yeah.
Right across the board, right from all styles, all groups. It was like a Four Nations. It was like a BKF Four Nations. It was just in some ways it was actually better attended than the BKF Four Nations in some of the events. As you said, like the kata was massive and the committee was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good, but I think it as an event it fell down on a couple of things, and I don't think necessarily the organiser's fault.
No.
In his defence, the one thing they could sort out differently was do it over 2 days. It was a lot for one day. Is the one thing I would say. I think it was a great venue. I thought it was well set up. But I think to do that much in one day is a lot.
Yeah, I agree. There was also, you had to provide proof of a negative lateral flow test,
which was good, and they did enforce it, which was
nobody got in unless they had it. Everybody had to have a pass. They had to make sure before they even go by the door that all coaches and competitors have to make sure they had their pass on. And then they had like stewards and stuff that were making people. What usually happens in competition, obviously, all the parents and they just kind of crowd around the one mat, so they were making sure everybody was trying to sit down and.
Good.
I think it was kind of well. Yeah, it was well. As Liam said, over 2 days was a must. It was a must for a competition that big. It was huge.
One day is too much. 1 day is too much for the athletes as well, because the seniors. I was in the seniors and the vets kata, and it wasn't on until like 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And you're there from 8 in the morning, and it's a hot room, roasting, like you're. If you don't live local.
That gives me flashbacks to like tournaments in the 80s, which
that's what it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a lot good about it.
Yeah,
there's a couple of things logistically they should maybe done better at the medal awarding the medals as they went to kind of clear the room. I would have liked to have seen done, but I've got to say the karate on the mats was phenomenal. But British karate needs more referees and judges.
Yeah.
Desperately needs more referees and judges. Now, again, it's not the fault of the organiser, but like 48 hours beforehand, they were asking for people to travel for as referees. They didn't have enough referees and judges. If you're going to run an event that size with that many tatami, you need, and it's a thankless job being a ref or a judge, because only one person likes you, and that's the person that wins gold in each category. Everybody else thinks you're out to get them. But we desperately need more referees and judges, just in general across British karate, and they need to start creating a pathway for them so that the events, some of the seniors events had like shadow judging for committee,
That's a throwback to the 90s as well.
Well, that's I mean, that should be happening at an event like that, not a WKF.
Senior committee. Senior committee. See, as kids, and at that height, I say that height like I'm tall, not short. And you can kind of see what's going on. But when you've got, like, as you say, like Joe Kellaway and Greg Anderson, and all these guys fighting, all these Ben, all these kids fighting, all these seniors fighting from a good standard, ranked competitors, world-ranked competitors, and they've got shadow refs. And the greatest respect, some of the refs obviously were new to it. Is that a nice way of saying it? I don't think I'm being unfair there, Sean. No, I think you're right. As I said, I think they must.
And we're in over their head. If you're running a local comp, like we used to run, okay, you chid me for saying it was a small comp, but it's not a comp where you get massively ranked senior competitors in it. You need referees there. There could have been reasons for that. COVID, we don't know. Obviously, the way things are, but we desperately need in the UK to get referees want to get a better support. But there needs to be a track system for them to qualify up.
Yeah.
I know that there's been a push, like in other combat sports, like in WT Taekwondo, and even in the semi-contact like continuous kickboxing, where they're pushing, to professionalise the referees in the financial sense. And it has seemed to attract a lot of former athletes and that to it.
I have no issue. I mean, a lot of referees do get paid for their time, and so they bloody should. Who would do that week in, week out, sitting on a chair, holding flags, having everybody cussing you up and down the place for free?
Yeah. Especially when it's a hot venue like that, we were the one in Germany.
That day, that place was warm. I mean, I was one thing, obviously, they shut open the doors.
Yeah,
to let some air through, because it was a lovely autumn day. It was gorgeous.
We were at a competition in Germany, Liam, and the venue was like a greenhouse. It had a huge glass roof, and one of the corner judges just off he went.
Literally slid off the seat.
So it's not a thankful job.
I took the iPhone off it. I took the decision.
I remember it was, again, going back to the days of yore, and there was one time it's something I've never really agreed with, is pulling competitors off to judge another category. So I just finished competing in the kata section, and then get dragged off. The men's senior kata division, and then get dragged off, and I was judging coloured belt men's kumite, and that day was a hot day. It's down in the southeast England. It was down in Peterborough, and it was like 29, 30 degrees outside.
Wow.
And it was a combination of things. Things were getting missed because people were tired from competing, and then they were getting hauled into judging.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is a framework for refereeing and judging within the BKF, and there is a qualification process. Yeah. What there aren't is enough of them.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. That drive down was brutal. As a Scot driving down there, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good event, and it was well run. As always, there's a couple of contentious decisions that you grump and groan about, but again, that's why referees don't go to these things. They're sick of hearing that. But there just needs to be more of them, so you're not a wider pool. I would encourage any instructors to have somebody in the club who is. I've spoke to a couple of my guys who are going to start doing it purely from, and I'm not saying this as a bias, because I don't believe that referees are biased. I actually don't. I think that people do the best job they do. I think people have an inherent preference. So if you come from a Wado club, or you come from a Shukokai club or Shiru club, I think you have a preference. You understand that karate. Whereas I think some of the things Shotokan referees, there's not enough Shotokan referees. That's not because I want every Shotokan ref and then suddenly we start winning and stuff. I don't mean that. What I mean is that there needs to be people who understand their katas. There was
definitely a kata level. I mean, at a committee level, no Wado athletes.
At that point, Ayuko was
at that point.
But itself, when you're talking about technical, like kata perspective, I think it's important. But I also think we need more refs.
I mean, I'm nowhere near a referee standard. I mean, I do my amateur referee when I'm watching like the K1 events on YouTube, and I see like top ranked athletes. It's something I've spoken about to both you guys before.
Yeah.
And they're doing shuto or something, and they've got like hands like spatulas, and think it's But then again, that could just be a bias from the way I've been taught.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's just wrong. But that's that I find that's the only thing I would say. Going certainly for next year, there needs to be a bigger pool of refs, and they need some proper support. I need to be treated with a bit of respect, of course. I mean, again, there's a couple. I say there's always contentious decisions, and you always when you see some go to events, and that's a big event. I have the greatest respect. You're paying £22 an event, right? So. You're likes of from Scotland, we're spending serious treasure to travel down there and compete. It's not a local event for us. So I travelled down, I took the missus with me because leaving the house at home all the time. We travelled down, you're spending money in fuel, you're in a hotel overnight, you're eating for 2 days, blah, blah, blah. So you're spending real money. You do that twice a month. Unless you've spent like 44 quid, maybe even more, on your events for the day, and then there's not enough refs. You know what I mean? So we're spending serious treasure on it. So and I don't grudge it. I'm just saying that, you didn't run a professional event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
totally.
It's a good point. And I just say it could have been various reasons for having a lack of. I mean, it could have been COVID.
Oh, well, I mean, I still think it was a good event. I would go to that event again. It was absolutely. Hopefully, we were down next year that they would have the referees, and maybe we'd consider doing it over a day and a half or something instead, like the BKF, the Four Nations has done, over to a day and a half. So basically, a Saturday right through, and it finishes about 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Yeah. And everybody gets a chance to drive up or drive home or back to where they were, and it's daylight and stuff. That would make it worthwhile.
Yeah,
because my trip home wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, so I was going to say you had a pretty tough route. Because that's why I stayed on the Sunday night, because to be fair, we were lucky because Layla was off school on the Monday anyway, so it made it a bit easier for us, But you got home at 4:45 in the morning.
It was dead. Because we eventually, I don't leave. We tend to try and stay with, because we had one of my guys, Ian was still to fight, and I'd never liked to leave. Until I've seen everybody's done, and never ever. But it was like, I need to go, because one of the young lads that was I'd given a lift down the road to had to be back up the road. So for the morning. So we left. I think it was 9 o'clock. We left, and there was a junction closed. And it was like, right, fine. And we battled on. We come to the police pullover story, because it's quite funny.
Yes, please.
So I'm driving my car. I'm not a chav, right? I really swear to God, I'm not. But it's got tinted windows in the back, and it's a Mercedes.
It's a big exhaust.
I'm having a midlife crisis. People just
got the gold chains and the
gold chains.
GPS.
I'm driving up the road, and I make it to the borders, and no disrespect to in England, but I'm sure you feel the same going back home. You come to that border, you see the blue, you see the flag, and you're like, oh, we're almost there. Going up the road, about half an hour into the drive, so a police car comes down, and I'm like, I'm taxed, insured, MOT'd. Thank you very much. Car's in good running order, nothing to worry about. I wasn't speeding at that moment. So I drive on, he drops to 50 mile an hour, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So I continue, and then surely the lights flash. And I get pulled in. So I pull in, I'm like, you're kidding me, and I'm dead in my feet, I'm exhausted. Because we've been up since like 7 a.m, and this is 2:30 in the morning. So I pull in, shut it down, and he comes up. Now, the reason I'm explaining the type of car I've got is not to show off or anything. It's to explain it from the police officer's perspective. So he is pulled over a Mercedes coupe with tinted out windows at 2:30 in the morning in the borders.
Was it the Police Scotland side or the Cumbria side?
The Police Scotland side. So what he wasn't expecting to find was a ginger guy, a Chinese woman, and an Iranian in the back seat. So
I think it was part of a good joke.
That honestly, it was brilliant, because they came up and he's got a mask on, and they were very polite and were very professional, and it was all sorted very quickly. It was no problems, no issues, no tickets. Thank you very much. But they came up, and the missus puts the electric window down, and he's got a mask on there, and he just sees eyes going, "What?" It was so obviously not what he was expected to pull over, and Matthew Scar's in the back like, "Hello," and you can see him going, because obviously I am Caucasian, my good lady's Asian, and they're like, well, that doesn't make that. So that you could see, and his partner came up, and his partner kind of stuck his head in the window like, and they were like, and we were on our way. So it was quite funny. His reaction, watched his eyes dart a bit. You could see him doing the math, trying to figure out because it was not what he was expecting to find.
Adoption.
Yeah, but it was just what I didn't need at the end of that drive, and I still didn't go home to the back until 3:45 Norman.
Oh wow!
Oh, nightmare, mate.
So Monday didn't happen.
Well,
yeah.
To me, I got a speeding ticket on an average speed camera.
Did you on the way back?
Yeah, 55 and a 50 on the average speed.
That side or this side of the border?
That side. There was
two average. Was all average.
There was like 2 or 3 average speed camera zones.
Did you get a ticket for it?
Mm-hmm. Through the post.
Did you get points?
You send it back. It's happened before. I got one on average speed camera when I was coming back from Nottingham once, and the JKS England Championships, and it was the worst weather conditions. And on the way back from Nottingham, you reach what's the tank place called? You know, is it
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It's like one lane and it was bucketing down. It was horrendous.
Oh, it's that wee camera in the corner, isn't it? Yeah,
it's an average speed camera there. The guy
I know it.
When I phoned him, he's like, if it gives you any kind of satisfaction, everybody gets caught at that, is you're on a country road and you don't realise it's meant to be a 40 average speed in that one. So that was way back. But they allowed me to do, because it was the south of the border, they let me do the speed awareness course. So I went down to Carlisle and done a speed awareness course, and the guy's like, nah, blah, 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 fine. And I was like, I'm not saying I didn't do it, do you mean? But it was a country road. So then I got another one up. So I doubt I'll be able to do the speed awareness course. But if they sent back the letter, so I just filled it out and sent it back. I was, as I said, 55 or 50. Do you know what I mean? On a motorway, an actual motorway, you know, so.
Down there. That's how they make their money down there, do
they? Yeah, that is what it is, I mean, but yeah, unhappy I was, but we'll see.
Even the 77's been pushed up to a 60 now.
Yeah.
The bit by Symington, that's up to a 60 now, and they didn't have a speed camera.
Well, it never triggers till 60, I'm told. Sorry, guys, we've gone a bit Top Gear here, haven't we?
Yeah. Right, Richard Hammond.
What are these idiots talking about?
When we get back on the topic, right? So today's topic, we kind of think about discussing. We're going to discuss how best to kind of deal with or react to children being hit in competitions or dojos. Now, this is not
by who? By who?
By the coach for not listening. No, I'm joking. Not by obviously another competitor or another student. You know, like not excessive contact or anything. Just in general, how the child reacts, how best to kind of encourage a child or safe, make sure the child is safe and stuff. So we've kind of 2 sides from that. You can kind of look at it from a parent side, obviously, and then from a coach's side. So I'm just kind of looking to kind of get your guys' thoughts on it, pros and cons. John, do you want to kick this one off? Liam's.
Yeah, I started. I mean, I've competed since I was like 10, way back in the Stone Ages. You know, and I competed under different formats: Shubo, Ipon, Wuko, which was what WKF used to be. WKF as it just became WKF, semi-contact kickboxing. And I remember fighting as a kid, getting a smack in the face, or a kick to the back of the head, and feel myself welling up and whatnot. But I don't know if my coach was just being brutal because he was like a product of 1960s training, 1970s training. But it was always a case of, like, just pull you, sort yourself out, get back on there and smack them as hard as they've smacked you. Now, as a coach, when I started coaching, I didn't take on that attitude. You know, when I was coaching, I looked at I realised that a lot of the time the tears aren't from actually being hit. It's more like a kid's reaction to adrenaline because they don't know how to handle the adrenaline.
Yes.
And once I learned that, it was a case of not mollycoddling them per se, but just saying to them, look, this happens. It's a contact sport. No, you're okay. You're not going to die. You're not going to lose limbs. Here you go. I'm going to sound very, very un-PC here, but I do think there's a lot of times, where kids do get mollycoddled by coaches because they don't want parents to take their kids out of the sport.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. As you say, not very PC, but I think that is a good point into some aspect of that very true, I think, as well. But,
yeah.
Liam, what about you? Have you had a few minutes to let your brain churn without getting arrested and saying something, or do you?
No, I think John's saying it's good. It's difficult. It depends what people come to the sport for originally. So, I've never had anybody come into my my dojo and say, "I want you to teach me, Johnny, how to punch people and kick people in the face and how to deal with being punched and kicked in the face." It's not a conversation I have. But if you're going into competition, there needs to be a real. I think it's bad coaching if your student isn't prepared for what the eventuality is.
Yeah.
So when I say to my guys when we're doing committee, it's like you are going to get hit, and you see the parents going, and you're like, it's a contact sport.
Yes.
And what I'll say to them is, who's been injured at football? Everybody put their hands up. Who's been injured at rugby? Everybody puts their hands up. Who's been injured? A trampolining, like everybody put their hands up. It was stickies and stuff going to trampolining. And I'm like, so what's the difference with karate? Because somebody's actually trying to throw a kick into your head. Well, you're allowed to block it and get thrown into their head too.
Yeah.
You can't do that in football. You can't do that in rugby.
No.
So, not to get red carded, like. But, so yeah, I think it's about us managing their expectations and also being realistic. Some kids are just not built for the competition. They're not built for it. They're not mentally mature enough to deal with it. And that's not an insult to their development. They're just not up to deal with that sort of thing. And they become karate instructors. But yeah, I think that's just. I do think there is a bit. I was an awful parent.
Do you think it's generational?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My daughter's up and out now, but I was pretty tough, and I would say I was tough, and I just wouldn't take her crap. I don't know wrong. She took a sore when I was like trying not to run over and beat up the other coach because I'm still a father at the end of the day first. You're still a dad. You're like, when you want to, or the referees let the match go on and let your daughter take a tanking instead of giving warnings, and you're like, but I'd also say to her, suck it up, get back in there. That's what we do. This is what we are. You've got to dish it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean you should be beating up other children, but but I think karate as well isn't what it was when I grew up.
No.
It's a lot safer now. It's a lot. I'm talking from competition perspective. And I think it's a good thing that it's safer. So the chances of actual injury in a karate tournament, especially like WKF rules, is minimal. I mean, Sean and I have been to tournaments where the medics don't sit down. Back when the old Shobo Ippon days, we're going to
hand pads.
And no hand pads because you're going to use control. Right, smash. I can use control, but that big Russian dude's not using control. My control's fine, but the more you're scoring him and he's hitting me. Anyway, moving on. And so you were getting smashed and plastered. I can't even see that, but at home I've got this cheekbone digs in with a heel smashed into it, But that doesn't happen now because they've got bumper mitts, they've got body armour, gum shields, shin and instep. So it's all they train on mats. I don't know if you remember the fear of getting swept onto a concrete floor in a competition. Yeah, don't see me. Oh no!
Do you remember?
Off the floor and then the head punch goes in.
Do you remember that uneven floor at Christ the King Church Hall?
It was like.
If you get swept in that middle bit, you were like.
There was 100 people on the floor training.
Wow.
But yeah, I do think it's a generational thing. I think I'm going to upset people.
I don't think it's going to upset people. I mean,
I'm self-editing here.
Yeah, I've got no such qualms. But going back to competing. No, I've competed in everything. Not everything, but I've competed in every type of equipment. No, it Shobo Ippon when I first started. When I was still Shotokan back in the day. No, there was no pads at all. Then when we started competing at the old WUKO tournaments or WKF as it became, with these little white things that just went over your knuckle. It wasn't even like the full cotton hand pads. We bypassed them and went to like the little ones that just went over your knuckles like that. And it was I've got to set up in the loft still, and a pair of shin pads. Then I've moved away from like karate competition into the freestyle kickboxing competition, and the bumper mitts that we were wearing, like the super tags. It's like the ones that they were in taekwondo. That you're hitting somebody with a fluffy pillow, and then when you come back and you're starting wearing the WKF equipment, it's like, shit, this hurts. So, but I can see parents want to look after their kids, instructors want to look after their kids, but there has to be a realization if you're going to do the sports side of what we do, that you are going to take knocks, and parents have to be aware of that right from the beginning. And there's like, throwing names about here, there's a friend of mine that lives down near Manchester, a girl called Kelly Buxton. Great career in semi-contact kickboxing. Her daughter, Maddie, when she used to fight, used to burst into tears. Maddie's now moving up in the ranks, and she's like, going for European and world events and things like that. So I think kids do grow out of it once they realise that it's all part and parcel.
If they're allowed to, what you said there is a very good point. If they're allowed to, what often happens these days is parents are quick to pull their kids from it. Instead of letting them develop and grow up, as you're saying, John, actually let them grow up and mature within the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Panic, grab them and pull them out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you found that, Sean, and you're like, but that kid's talented.
Yeah.
And the tough thing to explain to parents is that some kids have a tough season. Because, if you're going for, say, I've got a young lad who's just turned 14, so he's going into a different section. He's bossed his section, but he's not going to have as easy a time of it the next 12 months, because he's gone from being the kind of experienced and mature one in his section to the inexperienced one. Yeah. And parents kind of, when they don't see that level of success and they pull them, and it's difficult to rationalise that. And I find it even more difficult there in the kind of Facebook and Instagram age, that parents, because if they're not all parents, but some parents, they can't post weekly their kids winning medals. Their kids are failure. Or there's a problem with the system. Yeah. Instead of just going, well, that's how it works. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
I can I just touch on that there? So when we moved over from our kind of traditional show weapon to our current kind of competition, my daughter Layla was winning every event. I'm not meaning right in the show weapon. Your daughter was the same. And then so we moved over to WKF for a whole year. She never even placed a whole year. And then she found it really tough sometimes, but yeah, she was still going back in there and she was still trying. She enjoyed competing, which is obviously a bonus. And we also knew the system and kind of work it towards it. And then eventually she started kind of picking up medals and kind of competing at larger events and stuff. So I think, as you say, you need to give them that time to understand as well.
It gives so much. Being able to compete gives so much. It's not just medals, it's the experience. It's operating at the best you can under pressure. How is that not a great skill set for any child growing up into an adult?
Exactly.
How is that not a fantastic thing for a child to be able to have as a skill? Not just a bit of metal. And things. Life is tough. Life is hard. As much as we try and sanitize life for our kids, etc., life's tough, and there's tough lessons in the dojo and on a mat, and you learn resilience and you learn just how strong your character is. But, I kind of go back to the original point. When I see a kid getting injured or hurt, I never want to see a kid getting injured where it breaks my heart. It doesn't matter whose it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter my student or within the federation or a completely different group. But it doesn't happen that often now. I mean, I see kids getting kicked in the face. The kids these days, because of the equipment and the safety of the competition circuit now, are throwing techniques that John and I would never dreamed of throwing back in the day. At that age, they're throwing like spinning animal lashes or ashi barais, take them down, bang. They're throwing techniques that at that age we
were yakuza-ki.
Yakuza-ki, like a sawn wood, pop, 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 pop. And that was it. So and because that level of safety within the equipment now, kids can throw that without fear. Yeah. It doesn't mean they don't take a kick in the face, but they're at school on Monday.
Yeah, the thing is as well, though, is the kids, they've got all the padding. They know they're not going to get hurt. But as I said, it goes back to that whole adrenaline thing again. There's still kids out there that will take a smack in the head. They're not hurt at all, but they're still burst into tears, and the parents start to panic.
Yeah, that kind of...
I burst into tears too when I get kicked in the face.
Yeah, but people, there's generally folk like, no, I'm not going to kick you in the face. I'm lying.
Yeah, we had a similar kind of scenario when the JKS Worlds in 2019, and there was no weight or height categories for Layla's section. It was just age. So she's no big. She's very small. So she's usually the smallest in the smallest height or the smallest in the smallest weight category when it is in weights. So she was not even up to the shoulder to the next biggest kid. So, but she's done well. She fought the first one. She fought the tallest girl in the event, and she took a few throw ones. And the referee, should I say, was right on top of it, But she did take a few really throw ones, and it was hard sometimes to kind of watch. But she made the decision that she was going to keep going, and even their coach, the other girl's coach, was raging because obviously the girl just couldn't kind of acknowledge that she was hitting too hard. And the coach was trying to tell her to kind of pull back, but she went on and she kind of fought through it, and I think that's a good lesson for her, to be fair, and she went on to become second in that category, and
that's it's character. I mean, you build character through adversity. You don't build character by everything being soft and easy. That's impossible.
No, by being comfortable. It's not.
No, that's not how character and skills built. Yeah. I don't think competition's for everybody. I don't think everybody can handle the highs and lows of it.
No.
But I know perfectly good time. I'm sure you as well, Sean and John, know perfectly good karate people that just can't handle competitions. They just don't cope with them. Apart from, obviously, I'm one of them, but they're just not good at it. They just don't enjoy it, and that's fine. They still do karate, never compete. Yeah. But if you're going into a club, I certainly run a club squad. I know you do as well, Sean. Run a club squad, which is now we're going to get set a new thing now with bringing in some new talent. We're kind of building up tiers, and they go up to the kind of national level and blah blah blah. And that's, I can understand kind of kids that have just started competing behaving like that. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But not more seasoned ones.
But I think you kind of touched on what both of you have said. To be fair, I think as long as an understanding from you as a coach, from the competitor, and from the parent, that it is in a safe, controlled environment with a set of rules. You are wearing padding. There is only certain moves they can do. And you could get hit, but as you said, you can block it and you can hit back. And it is a controlled environment. There's rules for excessive contact. There's a padded floor. I don't know how much safer they can make it.
Well, that's that's something I say in my club is that, right, guys, they're doing explaining to me how to do Juepon or whatever. And I'm like, at no other point in your life where you, and I hope you never have to fight, but no point in your life where there'll be a defibrillator in reception with a first aid kit. It was at least 3 first aiders in this room. You're on mats. You're wearing padded gloves. Your gum shields. At no point in your life in a real fight will this happen. Okay, so pull yourselves together. All right. I'm a dreadful coach, aren't I? But that's the kind of the way I can look at it, is like, come on, let's go. Because once they get into it, they'll love it. They'll love it.
I think.
It's a great skill.
I think, and I would just what you're touching on, John, as well. I think once they realise that, I've got a wee girl and she only started kind of last year. She's just turned an orange belt, but she loves the sparring, so I brought her into squad training. And her mum explained to me that she was very, very scared of being hit or hitting someone else. And then see when we done a kind of mini club competition at camp, and she ended up winning it because she has a very technically very good kumite. And she realised, she was, oh my God, that was amazing. And that once they get over that realism that, yes, you might get hit, but it's not going to hurt that bad, is it? And even if you do hit someone else, you're wearing pads. You're not trying to knock the head off. You're just trying to score points, And I think that's that realism as well. Once they realise it's not that bad.
It's a natural thing as well, though, because I remember competing as an adult, like through my late teens through to my early 30s when I retired for active competition, and before every competition, I still had that feeling at the pit of my stomach. Yeah. But once I get stepped on the mat, it was like the best time ever. And that's why I competed for so long as I did. The only time I didn't have that pit was when I came out of retirement to do the A2 charity fights, because I knew it was for fun. No, it was for a good cause. But when I was competing like for trophies and medals and whatnot, I always had that feeling in the pit of my stomach as if I was going to be in a real fight. But as I said, as soon as you step on the mat and you know that it's all controlled, then that just all goes away. And it's just learning how to control that.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, on you go.
No. Carry on, Sean.
I've kind of competed for 20 years, and it's no matter what happens, as soon as I step on that mat, I've still got that nervousness, that butterflies, that.
I actually don't feel.
Oh my God, why am I here?
I genuinely don't feel nervous anymore. I don't feel nervous anymore.
That's because you're doing kata and the person actually.
I don't feel nervous. No, but I still think kata is. Excuse me, I was kicking you in the face last weekend. Anyway,
that's not kata. I'm joking. That's not a dig at kata. I'm dealing. It's obviously still competing. I think kata actually is harder to do and more nerve-wracking. You are standing on a mat with all these people watching you.
The worst thing about doing kata in competition is it's your karate.
Yeah.
And if your kata's crap, your karate's crap.
Why do you think I don't do
that? Do you know what I mean? That for me, technically speaking, like your karate needs to be decent to do.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Do kata. Absolutely. You need to whether or not am I fast enough to kick young boys in the head? You, yes, Sean, but other young boys, no.
I'm not young, I'm 30 now. I'm closer to the veterans.
Shut up. There's a load of instructors out there going, shut up, Sean. Karate suit's older than you, son. I go back and I'm moving on. I actually had a parent, and the student got to brown belt, and I'm like, listen, there's certain requirements I like brown belt. You need to be doing community classes, you need to be doing cat classes, you need to be doing this is requirement. You get to the point in the end, it's like you're heading towards black belt. You know, it's a commitment at this point, and also building your skill set. And the parent said he doesn't want to do fighting, and I'm like, well, we'll have to, but no, he's not doing it. I'm not allowing him to do fighting, and I'm like, well.
But he has to for his black belt.
Is it a medical reason? No, he just gets too nervous. Well, then he doesn't grade. That's it. That's unfair. And I'm not. This is an actual conversation. This isn't contrived. This is an actual conversation with a parent. I'm like, this is karate. They need to be able to. I don't expect him. I don't ask me world champion. I mean, he needs to be able to fight. He needs to be able to black. He's going for black belt. He's a black belt. He can't fight.
Doesn't mean the best fighter in the world, but he needs to
doesn't mean that. I'm asking him to be Olympic champion. I'm asking him just to be able to spar somebody his age, grade, and ability.
Yeah. I mean, karate's been in Britain since the 1950s. What was she expecting?
Honestly, and the child quit. And I'm like, am I supposed to sanitize what I do? I can't. You're in the wrong place.
No. I think
again, it's not. Like there's supposed to be boxing and Thai and all the rest of it that are much more brutal than karate is. And I know the guys do as best they can, as safely as they can, but you're getting hit all the time. You've got a boxing club and I'm beating the boxing, you're getting hit.
Yeah.
You're getting hit. I've done Thai, you're getting hit. You have sore legs. Because somebody's going to be smashing their shin into that wee DD bit right at the until it stops being deep. I've done it. Do you know what I mean? But I think maybe Sean's kind of hit the nail on the head. Maybe it is a generational thing. Maybe we're more like coddled too much.
I think sorry, go John.
I was just going to say, I think that there is an element of that. And I don't know, I mean, I know the whole, being that old guy, that's, because I hated when I used to be around people.
I really appreciate it, thank you.
But I hated being around people like this. When I was younger, coming up, that we're always going about how hard it was, like in the golden age, in the 60s and 70s when I was coming through in the 80s. And now I'm doing it, talking about karate in the 80s and 90s. But I do feel like I'm that older guy now that looks at. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the athletes just now are phenomenal. I think that the kids are coming up that are emulating the athletes are absolutely phenomenal as well. My bugbear is always, my bugbear, and I apologise to both of your, the parents, your students when I say this, but my bugbear is parents. They don't understand what it is we're actually trying to do. We're teaching a fighting art, but we're trying to teach it as safe an environment as possible.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think as well, I don't know about yourselves, but I don't know about yourself, Liam, but I kind of introduced sparring into the kind of all grade class, the mixed ability class, pretty early on, just to normalise it, and you were talking about when the kid gets to brown belt, we need to start doing sparring. I know we have spoken in the past about our belt test, and it's not until you go for a black belt, it's technically not on the syllabus to do it, but I am going to introduce it from kind of orange belt, yellow belt.
My guys do it. My guys fight for purple and white.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's understanding at the end of the day, because if the people are not, so say you do your mixed ability or your basics class and they're not attending a community class and they go all the way up to brown belt and brown and one white, brown and two white, and then they need to go to, we don't do our black belts, we send them up to the headquarters in Dunfermline. So then they go up to there, a new venue, a new place with new people against somebody they don't know and they need to spar and they've never sparred before. You know, I think that's tough. So you need to normalise that pretty early on. And
I think you need. I mean, I've always, when I was teaching, I was always also a different grading system and whatnot. But I mean, I was teaching. I mean, I was introducing sparring by 7th Q, 6th Q at the very latest. You know, and I was aiming people to go to competitions and not just one format. I was saying to people to get as much experience as you can. Go to this event, go to that event. You're going to need to know how to do this. You're doing it. You're studying a fighting art at the end of the day. This is the most controlled way you can learn how to fight.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty. No, I like that. I think, and it's just I've got guys that aren't even signed up yet doing kind of sparring drills and stuff, and just teaching them the movements and stuff like that, you know. And also when it comes around to kind of the grading time, you start doing your circle of the syllabus and going through your katas for the people, prepping them for the grading, and then when the grading's over, you almost, I know we kind of talk about it a lot, Liam. It feels like once the grading's over, and then we can teach other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not specifically aimed for that belt test, you know. So yeah, I think you're right. I think kids, parents, coaches need to understand what they're doing, as you said, John, as well, and realise that it is part and parcel of what you do. So, is there any cons? Is there any cons, gentlemen, to having that tougher approach to the kid?
Again, it depends on the child as well, doesn't it? Because I think there's a maturity level, and also a back of where did I tell this story, and also what kind of family they've come from, you know. And I how did I put this? I had a parent. We were doing committee in class, we were doing sparring in class, and the young boy did really well. He was fighting well. He just got beat. Yeah. And he suddenly burst into tears. And as John said, it wasn't out of pain. It was more out of, I think he was upset he'd lost the match.
Yeah.
And he was kind of frustrated with himself. And he just
usually how I start crying.
And then, well, actually, me too. And his mum was like, "Oh, I'm running a class here. I'm running an active class. Come to me, darling. Come to me. Come get a hug from mum." And I'm like, the boy was 10, right? I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I was like,
look at John's face.
I was like, back on the floor. I was like, get back on the floor. And she's like, "You can't tell me I can't give my son a hug." I said, "I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, now's not the time to give you. Is he sore? Is he hurt? Is he injured? Did he fight well? Well, why? It's like something bad has happened, and you feel you have to nurture him. Yeah. You go, well done. That was a great fight, and you put him back out, because sometimes that negativity, that kind of overprotectiveness, it's not good for them.
No,
I'm not saying we just lock him out in the streets for the wolves to eat. I'm not saying that. There's a bit in the middle.
Training to be Spartans.
We'll come back and get the ones who survived, but I don't mean that. But I do think this. I love my. I think it's well, you know.
I definitely think it's an element of that, because I mean, when I started training, I grew up in Castlemilk on the south side of Glasgow, which is it's sort of the earth people with a bit of reputation back in the day.
It's a charming suburb.
It's a charming suburb. But I mean, it was a type of environment. No, my dad was like ex-military police, and no, missing with bits, but no, it was one of these guys. No, when I went to karate and he took me to karate, if I was the one that was getting hit, no, he was like, "Well, get on with it." And my instructors were like that as well. No, particularly Brian McKinven and Martin Cameron. No, they were like, "No, you've been smacked in the head. You're learning a fighting sport. No, get on with it."
I do think there was more violence back in the day when we grew up, mate. In fairness. Because from our parents, from our instructors, we used to get hit with a bamboo sword, for the love of God. Could you imagine me doing that now?
Shin across the back of the leg.
You'd be in jail trying to explain. No, but you don't understand. But you hit with a sword, mate. No, but you don't understand. It's what we do. But you hit with a sword, mate.
Or you've got a row of kids lying down. You've got a row of kids lying down, and you've got grown men running across their stomachs.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I but don't get me wrong. But with the parents' permission, I had a kid by his belt the other day hanging outside the fire escape for being cheeky. But I did ask the parents' permission for hysterically. But back in the day, I'd have been literally thrown out there. There'd have been no.
Could you imagine Jim Mooney or Bobby Mooney?
Yeah, I just literally get scalped to the back of the head or kicked up the bum, like literally, like assaulted. But it wasn't. And then you go home and my dad's Irish background, he speaks through percussion. Like,
I was
that was Morse code in my house,
I was 17 years old.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a good thing, and I understand why it's not the thing that the regale these days. But I do think there's also an element of generations. I'm not saying we should beat our children because that's really not what I'm saying. I swear to God. But I just do think they're a bit soft in places as well.
Yeah.
I would always
like such. I know. I sound like those guys that used to talk to it back in my day. Used to hit you with a pan and you just go on with it.
Liam, do you remember a specific exercise before we're going forward to our World Championships? And we had
the instructor went to the World Championships, and the squad was doing a final training session and prep session before we flew out on the Friday.
3 days or something before.
And our instructor had a bad day. I don't know if his girlfriend wasn't talking to him or his wife wasn't talking to him, but somebody wasn't talking to him. And we got the joint that one shot. And we were doing line committee, and he broke my ribs, he broke your ribs, and he broke somebody else's ribs before we flew 3 days out. And I fought an entire World Championships with my left elbow tucked in like that, going, please don't hit me there, please don't hit me there, please don't hit me anywhere else. Because if you ever had cracked or broken ribs, people, you're fine, you're on the deck. So taped up and everything, and I was full ibuprofen. You could pick me up and shake me, and all you could hear was the painkillers rattling around my system.
Yeah,
there's a video doing the rounds on Facebook, and it's nearly 30 years ago. And I'm fighting Kelly Reid, who is world heavyweight kickboxing champion. Had a career in boxing, fought in the K1 kickboxing circuit against big guys like Ray Sefo. And I think both of you guys have seen the video. I'm bouncing about the map, trying to keep away from him, absolutely shattered, trying to keep away from the guy. The guy's huge. He's like 6'9" and weighs about 150 kilos of muscle. And the next thing I know, there's a spin back kick into my ribs, lifted my bottom concertina, my bottom 2 ribs into the next one. Oh, it's sore. It is sore.
Well, I think the best one of that I ever saw was when we were back in the day, we were in the sport karate team back in the day, when Andy Leach was fighting a guy. This guy was phenomenal. This boy was brilliant. I think it was the MEIs. And guy's bouncing, and Andy's a good fighter. He had this really slow Yakuzuki that he just used to get the timing of it. It wasn't like a bah. He just seemed to find your bounce and just go, break it. You're like, oh, you bastard. And he went to this tournament, and the guy just washes him an absolute peach. And Andy goes down literally like he's been powered off, just like down. And he came back up like Dracula out the grave. He just came up, boom, back. And then if he's like, you okay, mate? Are you okay? Like, you're doing the check me up. And he's like, it's all right, mate. I'm Scottish.
That wasn't MEI. That was MEI Doncaster.
I'm not going to do anything. And he probably get absolutely leathered for the next 60 seconds. It's like, oh.
There was one who took Mick McGillian to down in Leyland as well, and it was the first time Mick McGillian had ever fought in anything other than Shuba Whip-On. And you've got these guys with their competition suits on, and Mick McGillian's got this gi that finishes about here in his elbows, halfway just under his knee. But Mick was a wee powerhouse. Yeah.
I've got a story about you like that. Never mind that. You carry on.
Then Mick McGillian's standing there, and the guy's bouncing about, and it was just like a freight train moving forward, and it was like, bam, Samazuki right in the beak. Guy's face went, budum. It was like Mel and Frank all over again. No, budum. The guy's lying on the deck. He gets up again. He can't continue. It's not excessive contact, so they let Mick continue on again, fighting the next round, fighting this guy from Bristol Laugar or something. Same thing happens again. And then eventually the referees just say to him, go, just go away. Stop it. Yeah, that's just.
I remember a certain tournament many moons ago, a traditional tournament run by the then Scottish Karate Board. You and I turning up for this, and we're in the changing room. Yeah. I'm killing it, you bastard. And there, so I bring out my nice white gi, get myself ready to the club, and you pull out some monstrosity. I can't remember what the colours were, like a stars and stripes thing, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, that's not. I get nicely, my gi's already, it's ironed up, white, glistening in the sun. You turn up with something multicoloured with stripes. I'm like, what are you doing? And you walked out and we fought that day. And I was guilty by association, mate, because you and I were there together. I hit this boy with everything apart from a table. I swept him. I kicked him in the face. I yacked him, did the lot, not a thing. The referees were like, and it's because you were standing in my corner coaching, looking like the US flag.
It was a European flag, it was blue and yellow.
My apologies. The European flag.
There's actually a follow-up to that story. I was fighting in the heavyweight section. I fought a guy called Chris Amato. And I was like throwing Yakizukis in, nothing was scoring. Got to Endrasen at the end, and Chris throws a Yakizuki that finished about like 10 light years away from me. And just to get me off the mat, they scored it as a Wazari to get me off the mat. 2 or 3 weeks later, I was at the Ucasco Scottish Championships, and I turned up, and I've actually got a white gi on this time. Competed in the kata section. Did Matsumara Rohai in the first round and Super Impy in the second round, and won. Chris Amato walks up to me and goes, "How do you know those kata?" And I went, "Because that's what I do." He says, "What was the blue and yellow gi all about?" It's the 90s, mate.
It's the 90s. It was appalling. It was awful.
No,
it was a hot, one of the most hot. It's been many years. It must be almost 30 years, and I still have like a wake up screaming like that when I was like, with a traditional karate comp. What the you wearing?
Well, we're competing in the kickboxing.
You just like to cause trouble, John. Nothing's changed.
No, definitely not.
Nothing's changed.
Definitely not.
Well, lads,
it's nice to catch up, boys, and just talk nonsense. There were topics in there, I think we did discuss a couple of things.
Yes,
but it was nice to catch up. And I won't be here next weekend. I don't know if you guys are running it because I'm getting married on Friday, and I don't think she'll let me.
No, I think we've got next.
I think we'll give you next week off because I think we've got a biggie coming up the week after that, don't
we? We have Stephen Chan Sensei, a friend of all of ours. I've met him many times in many conversations with the gentleman. He's an absolute legend in karate. And we've got him for an interview in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that. I was chatting to him last week, so he's looking forward to it as well. So he's behind a lot of kind of well-known karateka. He also ran, was it traditional karate he ran?
It was when Bay Logan.
He was the ghost editor of it.
Yeah, because Bay Logan knew nothing about karate. So
Bay Logan didn't know anything about any of them.
Bay Logan,
but he's got a great background and many stories to tell, many adventures. If you ever had a chance to sit down with Stephen Chan and have a chat, it's I could sit and listen to him chat all day. He's a very educated man. I'm looking forward to that.
We've got that in a few weeks. So next week we'll be back on the week after. Guys, we kind of talked about quite a few topics today. Please drop us a wee comment on how you feel and how you think, what's your opinion and your reactions to the topics we had today as well. And let us know if you've got any ideas for topics or any guests you would like on. Let us know.
Yeah. And also like and share as well.
Yes, get it out there, people. I'm sure most of you have hung up by now once we started talking absolute nonsense. But yes, get it out there, people. It was actually really nice. A lot of the last few weeks, the last 2 tournaments, we were I was actually getting kind of people come up to going, I love the podcast. And I'm like, really?
You know, really? Do your thing.
You sure? But yeah, no, it's been nice. We're not doing it for fame. We're certainly not for fortune. We just wanted to do a wee podcast that's just normal karate people talking about karate life. So
normal karate people and John, you mean?
I was going to say normal karate people and Sean. All right, guys, we'll call it there. Right, thank you very much once again, gentlemen. It's been nice to catch up. It's great to see John back from the Isle of Skye. And we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks. As the boys said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, anybody. Just get people listening to this to keep it going. And we will see you or speak to you in a couple of weeks. All right. As always, stay healthy, stay safe.
Good luck with your wedding, Liam. Good luck with your wedding.
Lads. Oh, thank you very much. Yes. If she turns up, she might decide not to turn up.
Nobody would blame her.
So the next time I'll be here, I'll be Mrs. something. I don't know what I'll be.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Bye. See you later.
Finishing in 3, 2, and 1.